Okay, and thank you for that run. That was Phionics SRL with Lego Star Wars. And up next we've got Drakodan, who's going to be playing Sparkster any percent. And just a quick reminder here, we are online speed buddies and we are playing to benefit the Fallen 15. Now, Fallen 15 is a charity organization that is twofold with what they are trying to achieve. They are trying to help with fallen service members, the families of the fallen service members uh, sometimes end up needing help. And while the money does not go directly to the families, they are still doing the best that they can with the money, and I guarantee you they are doing good things with that. Also, their main purpose is to help veterans like me who have been in the service reintegrate themselves back into society, and that is something that's very important. So without any further delay, I'm going to switch it over to Drakodan for Sparkster any percent. So without any further delay, I'm going to switch it over to Drakodan for Sparkster any percent.
Okay, can I just get some confirmation that from the chat that I am indeed live then? Oh, it looks like it. I can see myself. Okay, so this is going to be Sparkster, and yeah, this is going to be any percent. Strictly speaking, the category is called Easy Mode. I'm just playing the Easy Mode, but that is the de facto any percent of this game, since the different difficulties of this game, obviously you would imagine enemies can be harder, etc. The main difference, though, is that on Easy Mode, the game omits a couple of levels that you find in normal and hard mode. So Easy Mode, we just play 5 levels, but since this is a shorter category, it's also really, really optimized, and the estimate I've given myself is quite tight, but I think it's also reasonable since I've done a lot of test runs and find I can afford generally one major death without really running over estimate. So without further ado, I'm just going to start just shortly. Everyone else in the Discord call is muted. If you guys want to at any point, you can unmute and comment on the run if you want, but I'm just going to go ahead. So 3, 2, 1, go. So to start off the run, the main mechanic that we use is rocket boosting, which we use in as many places as possible, and combine with the rolling mechanic. There's some interesting use of momentum transfer mechanics in this game as well, since after coming out of a rocket boost, you carry over that momentum into your air travel. Like, you enter a helpless state, but you travel quickly through the air. A lot of people, when they're playing this game and they try to go fast, they just immediately rolling attack out of a boost, which isn't actually the best to do since you killed the extra momentum that you have. And already we're past the first mini-boss, which I didn't really have time to explain, and a small optimization trick I did to enter the ship quickly. This game moves incredibly quickly, so I'm sorry if I don't really have time to explain everything. What's probably also noticeable on the screen so far is that this game has a lot of lag as well. A big factor of this game is lag management. And more momentum exploits where possible. Yeah, it really can't be overstated just how fast this game can be. So it can be quite difficult to keep up with what's going on, but it also means that as a runner you have to be very prepared for what's coming up in the stage. Like, it's very important to know the stage layouts and what to expect at each turn. Particularly because some stages, specifically in the normal difficulty, they don't really show up in easy difficulty, but there are a couple of stages that feature just instant death hazards at specific points of the stage, where if you just boost into them without looking, you will immediately die. So that's stage 1 done, with the boss coming down. That boss is very easy on the easy difficulty, since on normal or high you can expect to see a laser attack that comes from the eye area, which is quite difficult to avoid. You need to place the rolling attacks fairly carefully to try and avoid it optimally. But that doesn't really happen on easy, so we can just stay right next to him and just plug away at him with periodic rocket boosts as his weak point emerges. Coming to stage 2, this is, for the first couple of minutes of the stage, actually an auto-scroller segment where it's actually better for me to do absolutely nothing. That's because with these enemies flying around, I can destroy them if I want, but destroying the enemies just makes more enemies appear in their place. And it also causes like destruction animations and particle effects to spawn, and as I said before, a big part of this game is lag management. And as you destroy stuff... No. And as you destroy stuff, forcing things to spawn, it actually does cause a surprising amount of lag. Like, the number of objects that this game can handle on screen is surprisingly low for how technical the game is. So for the purposes of lag reduction, it's actually preferable in this spot to do absolutely nothing. And even though I'm tanking quite a lot of hits here, I will be able to recover all the health that I'm losing after the first mini-boss, which shows up after we descend down the other side of this mountain slope. So we're coming to that just now.
I got a question.
About the ostrich bird?
No, about like just the game in general. Those like mini slashes you're doing in the air. How's like the iframes or like hit data on that? Because I see you're using it to like pass through enemies a lot without getting hit.
Yes, whilst you're boosting and whilst you are using a rolling attack, you generally do have iframes, yeah, which is very useful in certain spots. Is
it like a specific timing kind of thing, or is it like just sort of match until it goes through?
It's more so just a case of while you're in that animation, you just have iframes.
Oh, okay then.
In most cases, anyway. But there'll be certain spots of the game where we aren't actually in that mode. So now that we come down into this section, we just need to get from walker to walker as quickly as possible by down boosting as soon as we exit each one. Oops, it's cycle early. And after this one, I position these boosts fairly carefully to... I messed that up slightly. It's really difficult to get through those bats optimally since recoil is a thing in this game, and a lot of the level routing in this game depends on trying to use the boosts in the correct places, which is kind of cycle-based, because in order to use the boost in this game, you hold the attack button until the bar in the top right charges to full, and when it's full, you simply use a rocket boost when you release it. So since that's a fixed charge time, you can't speed up the charge process, and it ends up being cycle-based once you have a route. So now we have the second boss, where I just try and plug a quick hit, and now I spam rolling attacks as much as possible. Spamming rolling attacks in this game is generally unsafe because there's also a hidden value that basically determines Sparkster's exhaustion or dizziness. If you do like 6 or 7 rolling attacks in a row, he'll get dizzy and you simply lose control of him for about 4 seconds and he's completely helpless, which is obviously really bad in a speedrun. But an odd quirk is that if you take damage, it actually resets the exhaustion meter. So if you're constantly damage boosting through something, you can actually do that infinitely back and forth, which is a really efficient way of causing damage. So now with stage 3, we open this door quickly, boost along. This is a really lag-intensive area, and I have to hope that the enemies and laser placements kind of play ball as well. One more door here. I need to make sure that I get this health pickup here. It costs a couple of seconds to pick that up, but it's well worth it because from that point onwards there are no more health pickups in the stage. And this stage itself is really technical as well. It's basically lots of long hallways, but I've done quite a lot of extensive routing in determining what's the fastest way that I can place my boost, including using ricochets and using rolling attacks where possible to get through a little faster without triggering exhaustion. So like I do a rolling attack here, and now we can simply use orthogonal boosts here to get through these hallways optimally. You can use diagonal boosts, but when moving through this game, you can kind of measure your progress in the number of boosts it takes to get somewhere. So if going through a hallway would take the same number of boosts, like either orthogonally or diagonally, it doesn't really make a difference which one you use. Therefore, it's better to just go with the easier one to perform. So, okay, decent start to the stage 3 boss, just destroying these turrets as quickly as possible. Very quick destruction on phase 2, and now the main body comes out. I can plug a quick hit as soon as he leaps off, and now since I have a decent amount of health, I'm going to try and alternate using rocket boosts and then rolling attacks through his body, since I have the health to be able to damage boost. If I was on lower health, I wouldn't be able to afford to do that, and that was a really clean boss kill actually. That was really quite phenomenally good actually.
Very good.
Yes it was, wasn't it?
How much health is too low to damage booster him?
How much health is too low? it's difficult to judge because a sometimes annoying quirk of bosses in this game is that with his mechanical arms that were flailing around, those actually have hitboxes of their own, and when you collide with the rocket boost with something with a hitbox, you rebound off it. But that occurs every time you hit a solid hitbox. So what tends to happen is that you can hit the boss's hitbox, bounce off it, and then as you rebound, you hit the arm's hitbox and it drags you back into the boss, and then you take damage when your iframes run out. If you're on low health, that means you can't damage boost, because it will just kill you.
Oh.
So for this drum section, I try... Okay, my routes worked decently well there. That took a while for me to work out the route that I just used. I didn't progress as soon as the screen loaded because I've got a very specific setup there. And I get a precise jump coming out here. Got it. Nice. So coming out of that tuber, I can use a very precisely placed jump to, well, just do what I did. Ah, I triggered exhaustion. Damn it. So you can notice a little bit there that... Oh dear, I need to hope that these cycles don't punish me. Okay, I'm alive. It's difficult to overstate how scary that section is with the symbols that I just reached. As soon as you're within draw distance of those symbols, they all start moving on a global timer. And if you fall at any point in that section, then the tubers that you land in just transport you back to the beginning of the screen, and it wastes a lot of time. But thankfully, I managed to get through them okay, which is quite difficult to improvise if I'm not on my standard route, since they can be really awful when moving on their own cycles, and I'm not in the part of the cycle timer I expect to be. So here's the stage 4 boss, Axel Gear. And this guy is RNG hell. He can use lots of multiple different types of attacks. These ones are okay so far. I just don't want to see that one that he just did. The corkscrew attack. That is awful. At 1.5 hearts left, he will kill me if he uses that. But he is already dead first. That was a bit of a hairy fight, but Axel is just incredibly random. His AI is entirely reactive based on what you do. Like, the frames that you move or use specific actions, it will influence what he does. So RNG manipulating that boss is next to impossible, and you kind of just have to know what his patterns are like and react when he uses unfriendly patterns. A couple of corkscrew attacks are used there, but none of them managed to hit me, so that was quite a favourable fight. And heading now into stage 5 with quite a bit of time to spare. This is quite a healthy run so far. Stage 5 is like stage 2 in that it's mostly auto-scroll for the first few minutes of it. Well, but once again, lag management is a factor, and the best way on average to deal with the lag in this stage is to go all the way to the left and once again try and do nothing. The less particle effects you're causing and the less stuff that's on screen, the better the game is going to deal with the lag. So by going all the way to the left, we essentially scroll half of the stage off screen so that stuff isn't really going on. And I'm not going to be doing any attacking myself so as not to cause any extra lag. It's possible in this part of the stage to take what I can only describe as phantom hits. Like, if I take damage at some point, I will very visibly not be near any source of damage, but I'll still take a hit from something. And I don't know if this is an emulation issue or if it's just a thing, a glitch that occurs in the normal game. I just took one there. Like, you can see I'm right at the left of the screen, the lasers are firing in the center, and right out of nowhere I just take a hit. Taking damage in this level is also really not something you want to happen, because for the last boss coming up after this stage is done, I want to be at full health if at all possible. I've taken another phantom hit, so I'm down 2 hearts. That's hopefully all I should take, since that's the most that tends to happen in the first section, and there is a mini-boss coming up halfway through that can give me up to 2 hearts of recovery. So if the rest of the stage is normal, then it's perfectly fine. I can enter the last boss with max health. And there's a specific reason that I really need as much health as possible for the last boss. It is, as people who may have seen me running this game before have seen, a robot duel in space. It's kind of like Rock'em Sock'em Robots, except that Axel's robot has a lot of HP and yours does not. And he can place very powerful attacks very accurately and very quickly. If he enters what is called the Berserk mode, where he just exchanges lefts and rights very rapidly, your life bar can drain faster than anything you can anticipate. It's quite scary. So I took an extra hit from that mini-boss, which I didn't really want, so I'm down half a heart exiting the boss. But this is the only point in the stage where I'm actually going to attack as stuff comes on screen, because it's possible that I can take an extra hit from these turrets on the left if they are actually on screen and firing. But as long as I'm at the top and I keep attacking, I can actually destroy them before they even come on screen. So not only are they there, it doesn't even cause lag because there's nothing going on the screen. So those two are destroyed, and now it's safe to simply stay in the top left. This is the only spot in the level where lag is noticeable at all from all the lasers firing at once, but it didn't actually seem to have much of an effect there, which is nice. So, we are about to enter the last boss now. Can't really say exactly what pace this run is on, but this is a really healthy pace. For reference, my PB/world record for this game is a 13:29, so just subbing the 13:30 mark. And my sum of best for this is 13:15, so my PB is less than 15 seconds away from my sum of best. And with this run being as technical and optimized as this is, it's quite a strong time to contend with. I'm not quite going to match that, but this is still a really good run, provided I don't die, which is possible. It's very possible, actually. I'm going to try and use a safety strat, which is just spamming left jabs to try and trap him in the corner. I could deal a lot more damage more rapidly by alternating lefts and rights, since that increases the damage you deal. But based on the way this guy's phases work with his remaining health, it's very dangerous to do on easy difficulty. It's actually, would you believe it, this fight is actually a lot harder on easy than it is normal. So, with one of his arms down, we're in a favourable position. He's probably going to start going berserk soon, but get stuck in the corner, that's it. And, oh, okay, good. He just entered the berserk phase right as I dealt the last hit, so with the remaining health I had, that was quite close, but I'm glad that went well. And time is when the screen fades black after the stage clear screen. So the run is over, I'm just waiting to call time now, which this is going to be like a 13:49 time, yeah.
It's fucking rock solid.
13:49, that is indeed a very solid run. That was 20 seconds away from my PB.
Rock
Good
fucking
job, Draco.
solid.
Good
Yep,
work.
20 seconds off world record, that's good. Play was like fairly loose, but it was still a solid enough run. I really can't complain about not having died. During my practice runs, I tried doing the fast strat for the last boss quite a lot, which is, you know, alternating lefts and rights and just trying to hit him with right straights. That really doesn't work very well on that boss on easy mode. You can potentially get kills that are a lot faster, but 9 times out of 10 he just out-damages you and kills you first. So I decided, you know, no. For the marathon run, I'm just going to go with the safe strat, and it clearly paid off. So, as short as this run was, I'm glad to have been able to show it off for you guys, and I hope you all found it very enjoyable. I believe up next, yep, is Legend of Korra by Dolphin Dasher, which is also a really good run by a really good runner, so I hope you guys stick around for that. And without further ado, I'm going to pass you back over to Lightning Luke. So thanks for having me, guys, and I will see you later this evening with Sonic Adventure 2 Hero Story.